Right, I'm going to tell you about Dennis' case in Denmark. I was in Ribe, and there was a radio alert for a missing child from Germany. It turned out to be Dennis. And I was in the center of town, and there was screaming in nearby a hotel. And I went there, and I could see there was a man and a child. The child was inside the car, and the man was without a wife and without suitcase. So basically, I could realize that this could be Dennis, right? So I figured to delay the man to get the police to come there, and the man was aggressive when I asked him why he was where he was from, or I tried to make a normal conversation. That was impossible. So basically, he ran after me down of the street, and I had a small legal pocket knife, right, for small things. So, and I ran into a pizza and called the police, and the police came, and I actually told them that he might be a missing boy, and they took me instead of him into question and threw me into hospital unit, right? So this is how they hospitalized a person that tried to stop the Dennis murder, because the police didn't ask the boy who he was. They didn't check the number plate international. They didn't do anything. They went after me instead of. Now, if you are gonna ask me why, I think it's because I am also a person of interest for missing, right? And I'm also a person that has a long CV into peacemaking and stuff like that. And also a person that lost a lot of royalty and patent rights. So basically I am walking around being poor, earning a lot of money, right? That might have been more important than try and figure out what this was about, right? I know it was Dennis because I was the last to see him. And the photo of the beach were similar. Oh no, the photo of the boy, right? So basically, that's why they don't like me. That's why they try and demonize me by giving me, a category diagnosis and stuff like that. Later, many years old later, not so long ago, I was living in Ribe again in 2019 to 21. There was an institution nearby which is famous in that area, and probably also famous for disappearance, I think. And there is two boys that I think are Jersey handicapped US missing boys. The one is Somalia and the other one has big ears. And the staff were not nice to these two children. And they are in a confinement in the institution where they almost have cages behind. It's called a special unit in Ribe. It's the old Ribe Lund where they have, when I was a child in the 60s, they had like a camp there. The connection of the US missing could be a staff member's husband who is from United States, right? It could be that the two boys are their ticket to return to United States on fake ID, right? So if the boy are mishandled in the institution and disappearing or dies, there will be like two IDs that can be used because the case is cold in the United States, right? In 2019, I was living in a garden house, and I was addressed by some people I didn't know, and they linked to the Matthew Mindler case as actors. There was also a lot about that street. It was like an out place of town. It was like a non-existent place. Even the road name was taken down. And there were a lot of bullying. Sound bully from maybe Hannah, and there was like it was not safe at all, right? And there was people talking, we couldn't see them, laughing brutally, and you couldn't see them. Really, really tough place. And there was they later made a YouTube deep fake of Swan Grand, right? Mixed deep fake, right? So basically on that street I also got sick sometimes from eating with the neighbors, for example, which is serious, right? And the children from the institution came down in that garden and screaming for hours, right? And me and another neighbor tried to get the school to stop it, to get them down there. It was not a safe area. So basically that area was you could say maybe a secret kind of hurt place or whatever. There was a lot of the entertainment that I lost a lot of money to might be the reason why they had that area, because the internet was hacked, right? One of the neighbors suggested that I rented a house in a town outside. It's one of the second stop on the road, and it was a big house. I went there to try and be there for some time, right? A major big house in a small town, and I had my dogs with me, and we were around looking at the place. And I think I've been there with a person that Hannah knows, which was working for Ribe Commune in an external way, right? The sort of therapy, but not really, right? There might have been. I found out that there has been a lot of people living in that house, troubled. There was, according to the neighbors to that house, there was a person who had died in a fire, and there was a boy who had been autistic or something. It is a sort of rent-out house with trouble, you could say, right? And we were in the garden, me and the dogs found a trace in a small self-made play or garden house, right? It was a small house in the middle of the garden, right? And because of the dog's attention, I started to clean that out. And under 3 layers of things, I find a jacket leaf, a piece of jacket under earth and stuff, right? And I pulled it out, and it was like a green kind of jacket sleeve, right? So I put it in a plastic bag and in a blue box, and I called the owner of the house and say, hey, you have to call police, because this is, could be something. It could be a hidden evidence or something, right? Because I knew I couldn't get through to the police. I had attended police for hacking, attended police for attack, and they don't give a shit.